Hey guys, I'm Alpha Podspot and welcome to week 23 of the 2018-2019 Premier League review. If you are new to the series, what we do is we take a look at the past set of Premier League results, we take a look at the Premier League table, and we finish off by looking at the top goal scorers. So here are the past set of Premier League results. These games were played on Saturday the 19th and Sunday the 20th of January 2019. Also, next games are the times in this video, so if you want to about a specific match, just go to the time next to the game and you'll skip out all the other crap. But without further ado, let's get into our first match. We start with Liverpool versus Crystal Palace. After dominating the opening half an hour, Liverpool somehow went behind to Palace through Andros Townsend. Let's just ignore the handball because I'm just too ill to care at this point. But Wilfried Zaha skipped past the challenge on the left hand side before pulling the ball back into the middle. Townsend broke free in the middle and swept it home to give the visitors the lead. But Liverpool levelled it up just a minute into the second half as Mo Salah got his 15th league goal of the season. There's just no danger at all really. Two Palace defenders getting each other's way and the clearance is poor right to Virgil van Dijk. He lines one up from about 30 yards out, takes a massive deflection that takes it up and it drops into the path of Salah on the 6-yard line, who hooked a volley into the bottom right corner. And Liverpool turned the game around 5 minutes later as Bobby Firmino put the league leaders in front for the first time. Naby Keita has the ball on the wing and he slips the ball through the defence to Firmino in a ton of space. He turns and faces goal. Not only does he scuff the shot a bit, it also takes a little deflection and trickles into the bottom right. And Palace level the game up in the 65th minute as James Tompkins headed in. Quite poor defending from Liverpool as Luka Milivojevic swings the corner in and not a single person tracks Tompkins' movement at the back post as he breaks free, gets up and nods back across goal and into the net. But Liverpool retook the lead in the 74th minute as Mo Salah got his second of the night, but Julian Speroni will be having nightmares about it. Fabinho pings the ball over the top to James Milner, he squares it back across goal, it bounces up. Speroni, I just don't know what he's doing. I think he's trying to palm it over the bar, but instead he just palms it back. It's going in anyway, but in comes Mo Salah to poke into the empty net just before it went over the line for his 50th Premier League goal of his career. 48 for Liverpool already. Mad. But Liverpool would have to play the final few minutes with 10 men as James Milner was sent off by his former primary school teacher. We've all seen the headlines, I can't be asked to talk about it again. 2 clear bookings, both times he was just beaten by the pace of Wilfried Zaha and dived in. 2 clear yellows and the right decision by the ref. But Liverpool wouldn't care about the man disadvantage as they got a 2-goal lead in the 92nd minute as Sadio Mane would look to wrap the game up. Mane skipped past the challenge on the wing, made his way into the area and placed it back across goal and into the bottom right corner. But Palace would make the final minutes interesting as they made it 4-3, scuffy finish really as the ball dropped to substitute Max Meyer in the middle. He scuffed his shot low towards goal, Alisson sees it late, does get a decent hand on it but can't keep it out as it trickled into the corner. And that's how the game ended, with Liverpool holding on to put the pressure on Man City before their game against Huddersfield the day after. The current league leaders came charging out for the second half, turning the game around in 8 minutes, and Palace, they weren't just going to give it up though, with them being the last team to beat Liverpool at Anfield back in 2017. And it looked like it could happen again when Milner was sent off, but Sadio Mane's late goal ended up being vital as Liverpool temporarily widened the gap to 7 points. And we move on to Wolves versus Leicester. It wouldn't take long for this one to get going as only 3 minutes in, Wolves took the lead as Diogo Jota put Wolves in front. Leicester made such a slow start with a player being booked within a minute of the game and they look shoddy since then. They lose the ball in the middle and it slipped wide to João Moutinho. He floats the ball in and Danny Simpson's caught ball watching as Jota goes in front of him and pokes into the right hand side of the net. And Wolves double their lead 10 minutes later as defender Ryan Bennett got his first of the season. Leicester again just not there, a corner swung in by João Moutinho. Normally you'd expect Harry Maguire to win it, no problem, but surprisingly Slabbered is outjumped by Bennett as he nodded home Wolves' second. But Leicester were going to go back a minute into the second half as Damari Gray sliced the deficit in half. Leicester deal with a Wolves cross and break away with Jamie Vardy slipping the ball through with the defenders to Gray, who just puts his head down and runs. He takes a touch away from goal, skips over a challenge and hits his shot low into the opposite corner. And Leicester levelled it up in the 50th minute, and for the second game in a row, Conor Cody was credited with the own goal. This time it's Wolves who started the half slowly as a ball really should be dealt with, but they lose the ball in their own box as they drop to Harvey Barnes, making his first appearance since being recalled from loan, and he lashed it towards goal. It looked like it was headed wide, but Conor Cody is in the wrong place at the wrong time as the ball smashes pretty much off of his testicles and goes into his own net. But Wolves retook the lead in the 63rd minute as Diogo Jota got his second of the game. Just a gorgeous ball by Ruben Neves. Inside his own half, he just pinged one forward that left Diogo Jota one-on-one. Not just the pass, but it's a great control with the chest by Jota, and he catches the shot on the bounce and drills it through Kasper Schmeichel. But Leicester level the game up in the 86th minute, and Wolves have one of the worst defences in the league when it comes to set pieces, and it struck again here as James Maddison swung a free kick into the middle, and there fighting with his man was Wes Morgan, who just had more desire and strength because he's a big boy. More strength and desire to win it and head back across goal and past Patricio. so. But Wolves won the game in the 93rd minute as Diogo Jota completed his hat-trick and sealed the win. A drilled ball forward from Wolves goes through the Leicester defence and Raul Jimenez is left unmarked on the wing. He spots Jota in the middle and the Mexican squares it to Jota, who hit it first time into the bottom left. And that's the game ended. What a crazy game to start the weekend off. Leicester were just dire in the defensive third. Going forward, they looked decent, but as soon as Wolves started to come forward, they just crumbled. And even after clawing their way out of trouble when they levelled it up at 2-2, Leicester's defence was just again ripped apart by just Neves, because he's just solid. Wes Morgan seemed to earn Leicester an unlikely point, but they love a goal in this fixture, as the last time these two teams played each other in the top flight at the Molineux was in 2003, and that one ended 4-3 to Wolves as well, and they redid the result here with Jota's late goal punishing a sloppy Leicester back line. And we move on to Huddersfield versus Man City. Man City took the lead in the 70th minute as Danilo scored City's 100th goal in all competitions this season. The fullback has the ball a fair distance away from goal, there's nothing really on, and he just shoots. He catches it well, and Christopher Schindler has good intentions trying to head it away, but instead he just heads it into the ground, wrong foots his keeper, and into his own net. Danilo was credited with the goal, by the way. And Man City doubled their lead in the 53rd minute as Raheem Sterling made it 2. Kevin De Bruyne picked up Leroy Sané, who looked a tiny bit offside, but nonetheless the German does well to look up, float a ball towards the back post, and diving in for it was Sterling, who nodded home. And City got their third just over a minute later as Leroy Sané got on the goals as well. Huddersfield sloppily gave the ball away in the middle and a ball was floated forward by Danilo to Sergio Aguero. He cushions a header into Sané on the edge of the box, who takes a touch past his man before sliding the ball through the legs of the keeper and into the bottom right. And that's the game ended as Man City eased past Huddersfield to go back to 4 points behind Liverpool. For the past 2 weeks they played second of the two front runners, but next week they play first and will put the pressure on Liverpool with a win. And in the first game in the post-Wagner era, City weren't at their best in the first half, to be fair. Not a vintage City display, but it gets the job done as Huddersfield fall 10 points from safety. And we move on to Newcastle versus Cardiff. Newcastle took the lead in the 24th minute as Fabian Schär got his first goal for Newcastle. We were just waiting for a bit of quality, and surprisingly it came from the defender as he picked the ball up and just drives into the Cardiff box. No challenges on him at all, he just makes his way forward before slotting it into the bottom corner. And Newcastle double their lead 15 minutes into the second half as Fabian Schär got his second of the game. Matt Ritchie swings a corner in, Jamal Lascelles gets his head on it, and Fabian Schär is ready to redirect it goalwards and into the back of the net. And Newcastle got their third in the 90th minute as Ayoze Perez put the cherry on top of the cake. Cardiff decided to play for the last 10 minutes for some reason, but they were caught out pushing too many men forward, and there were massive gaps at the middle as Salomon Rondon put the ball towards the back post for Perez, who easily tapped in. And as the game ended with these two sides swapping places as Newcastle came out on top in this massive game at the bottom. Fabian Schär was only in the side because of injury problems to his fellow defenders, but he took full advantage of the start. It was only after Newcastle went 2 up that Cardiff showed any urgency going forward, with Bobby Reid skewing a shot wide late on, but Warnock's side just did not look threatening at all and were met by a stubborn resilience in the Newcastle defence. Cardiff came into this game with better form than their opponents, but it was the Magpies who came out on top and ended a 5-game winless run in doing so. And we move on to Manchester United versus Brighton. Man United would get the perfect chance to take a lead in the 26th minute as they were given a penalty. Gaeteng Bong comes in, just bundles Paul Pogba over, and the ref pointed to the spot. The Frenchman also stepped up to take it, and after his signature slow run up, he smashed his spot kick into the right hand side of the net. And United doubled their lead in the 41st minute as Marcus Rashford got the goal on his 150th appearance for the club. Just a gorgeous finish from him as he is laid in by Diogo Dalot. He sends Pascal Gross for his weekly shot with a dummy, and from such a tight angle and with men in front of him, he still manages to bend one back across goal and into the top right corner. But Brighton will get a goal back in the 73rd minute as Pascal Gross cut the deficit in half. It's what they deserved, to be fair to them, but it came out of nowhere. There's not much on for Davy Proper, but it's just a lovely pass as he flicked it to Gross with the outside of his foot. Gross chests it down and hooks home via the underside of the bar. And as the game ended with Ole Gunnar Solskjaer becoming the first ever Man United manager to win their first 6 league games in charge of the Red Devils. He's got to be in pole position to take over permanently now, hasn't he? Surely he does. The last game between these two ended 3-2 to Brighton earlier in the season, which was really the beginning of the end for Jose Mourinho, but the first half performance, what we saw here, was worlds apart from what we saw in August. Brighton did improve in the second half, to be fair to them, but their awful away record against the Big Six sides carried on, as they've never won away to one of the Big Six in the Premier League. They've lost all 9 of their Premier League away games against the top 6. They just don't like it, do they? And we move on to Fulham versus Tottenham. A lot of the build-up to this match was how could Tottenham cope without their star men Son Heung-min and Harry Kane, but Harry Kane's replacement, Fernando Llorente, did get on the score sheet, just a shame it was at the wrong end. It was a good opening first quarter for Fulham and they did deserve the lead. A corner was put in towards the front post, Llorente was just caught flat-footed, can't sort his feet out and ends up just shinning the ball past his keeper. But Tottenham would level the game up 5 minutes at the second half as Dele Alli made it all square. Christian Eriksen with the assist. It's just a poor clearance by Tim Ream, I believe it was. I'm not going to lie, I can't be bothered to go check. If you couldn't tell, I'm very ill. Christian Eriksen picks up the loose ball, lofts the ball towards the back post, and it's just begging for somebody to get on the end of it. And that's exactly what Dele Alli did as he got up and powered the header home. Headed into the final seconds of stoppage time, it was all square and looked like Tottenham were going to draw for the first time this season, but they just don't like doing it. And then in the 92nd minute, Harry Winks won Tottenham the game. In a week where Tottenham were going to be missing one Harry, they'll be thanking their stars for another one. George's Kevin Ndudu has the ball on the left and he swung a ball in towards the back post. Harry Winks runs in, able to ghost in front of his man and head home from point blank range. And as the game ended, when that late Tottenham goal went in, you could hear a groan around the rest of London and in the red side of Manchester. Fulham had 9 shots on target in an impressive first half before they took the lead and did have the ball in the net for the second time, but Mitrovic was correctly called offside. Tottenham did respond in the second half, and despite being without 2 of their 3 star attackers, they were able to grind out and pick up a late win. And we move on to Arsenal versus Chelsea. It was all Arsenal for the opening of the match and the rest of the match, and they deservedly took the lead 40 minutes in through Alexandre Lacazette. Really poor defending from Chelsea here as Hector Bellerin plays it into the box, into the feet of Lacazette. He's able to take about 4 or 5 touches without being really challenged, and the French forward is allowed to turn and drill the ball past Kepa at his near post. I mean, if you just put it high, Kepa's not getting it. He's a very small man. And also double LE 5 minutes from half time as Laurent Koscielny opened his account for the season. The man has scored in the past 9 seasons and he's quite lucky here, let's be honest. Socrates plays the ball into a packed penalty area. He's clearly onside. Chelsea try and play the offside trap, but it's too late and it just leaves Koscielny one-on-one. And he goes to head it, misses it, but luckily for him, it whacks off of his shoulder and goes in. And that's the game ended with the worst Chelsea performance all season. They had a ton of the ball, but didn't have a shot on target until the 82nd minute. I don't know how more Chelsea fans aren't annoyed at Maurizio Sarri. I know that a manager needs time, but you don't need time to play your best player in their best position. The fact that he thinks Jorginho is better suited to that defensive midfielder role than N'Golo Kante is unreal. Kante is literally one of, if not the best defensive midfielders in the game right now, and for some reason, Sarri can't see that. Not only that, but he's playing Hazard out of position as well, and it's not working. He was pocketed in this game. Koscielny, he sat him down. They're putting balls into the box, but because they don't have a striker on the pitch, they're just not getting there. At one point, it was Marcus Alonso who was in the box going for headers. He's a left back. Like I said, Chelsea did have more of the ball, but they were just extremely poor in this game as Arsenal picked up the deserved win and closed the gap on the top 4 to just 3 points. And we move on to Southampton versus Everton. Southampton took the lead 5 minutes in the second half as James Ward-Prowse gave the home side the lead. He broke free and skipped past 2 or 3 challenges to make his way forward and smashed a brilliant effort straight into the top left corner from outside the area. And Southampton doubled their lead 10 minutes later as Lucas Digne scored one of the most bizarre own goals of the season. Nathan Redmond was racing through on goal. Digne does catch up with him and attempts to tackle, but instead he just ends up toe-poking the ball into the bottom left corner of his own net from a solid 20-25 yards out. But Everton would make stoppage time a lot more nervy for the home side as Gylfi Sigurdsson made it 2-1. He gets 2 tries as his first shot was blocked, but it drops back to him and he passed into the bottom left corner of the net from the edge of the box. And as the game ended, Ralph Hasenhüttl has now won more league games than Mark Hughes this season. In comparison, Mark Hughes was at Southampton since the start of the season. Ralph Hasenhüttl has been there a month. While Sigurdsson's late goal made the scoreline look respectable, it was anything but really. Marco Silva's side looked really poor going forward. Southampton just dominate the first half, hit the post twice. The result could have been even more for Southampton, who they probably should have had more goals, but a win is a win as they jumped up to 15th. And we move on to Bournemouth versus West Ham. It was a good first half despite being goalless, but the second half would get a goal as Callum Wilson gave Bournemouth the lead in the 53rd minute. 2 of my favourite players linking up for this goal. I love Ryan Fraser and Callum Wilson as well. Fraser does well down the left hand side. His cross was deflected to the edge of the area, but Callum Wilson was just arriving, stuttered his run, caught the ball, on the volley, sweet as you like, and it flew into the top left corner past a rooted Fabianski. And Bournemouth wrapped the game up in the 90th minute as Joshua King doubled the horse lead. David Brooks broke into the penalty area, looked across, squared it to King, who put it home for the win. And that's how the game ended as Bournemouth picked up only their second win in their last 10 in all competitions. West Ham struggled to break down the tough Bournemouth backline, although Andy Carroll should have levelled it up, but he somehow put the ball over from literally a yard out. I don't know how he's done it. Callum Wilson loves the goal against West Ham as he scored 6 goals in his last 6 appearances against West Ham. But Bournemouth did something very special in this game as they kept their first ever clean sheet against the Irons. And finally, thank God, we move on to Watford versus Burnley. Despite being a goalless game, it was far from dull to be fair. Both goalkeepers turned out fine performances at Vicarage Road and earned both of their sides a point. Burnley did have the ball in the net, but Chris Wood was judged to have been offside. He looked on like millimeters. Neither team could find the winner though, as both teams continued their unbeaten starts to 2019. Right, so that's all the games I've got for this time. Before we go, let's take a look at the Premier League table and top goal scorers, starting off with the Premier League table. Starting with top 5, and as you see, Liverpool are top after being on the winning end of a 7-goal thriller against Crystal Palace. Man City is second after easing past Huddersfield. Tottenham are third after a late win against Fulham. Chelsea are fourth, and Arsenal are fifth after the Gunners were on the winning side in the match between the two. Moving on to the bottom 5, and Huddersfield are bottom after a loss to Man City. Fulham are 19th after conceding the late goal against Spurs. Cardiff and Newcastle switched places as Newcastle thumped the Welsh side, and Burnley make up the bottom 5 after a goalless draw with Watford. Moving on to the top goal scorers, and as you can see, Mo Salah is on top after his 2 goals against Crystal Palace took him to 16 goals and 7 assists. Harry Kane is scheduled to be out for a few months, so he's going to be stuck on 14 goals and 4 assists for a while. Pierre Aubameyang is third on 14 goals and 3 assists. Eden Hazard was pretty much pocketed at the Emirates and stayed on 10 goals and 10 assists. Raheem Sterling makes up the top 5 after his goal against Huddersfield took him to 10 goals and 7 assists. Right, so that's all I've got for this time. If you did enjoy it, be sure to leave a like and subscribe, and I'll be back next Thursday at 4 PM for the next episode of the Premier League review. Yep, no episode at the normal time next week because there's just no games on at the weekend due to a load of teams being busy in the FA Cup, but there are games next Tuesday and Wednesday, so I'll do those next Thursday. If you want to stay up to date about anything we do, it's best to follow us on Twitter. The link to that is in the description, or it's at @portionofsport_. If you missed the last episode, that'll be on the right hand side of the outro screen, and a link to the channel will be on the left if you feel like subscribing. But anyway, thanks for watching. Be sure to leave a like and subscribe if you are new. I've been Mark. I'm going to bed. I'll see you soon.
My mama calls, see you on TV. Sunset shit done changed. Ever since we was on, I dreamed it all. Ever since I was young, they said I will